all rise for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Sorry, there you go. This chair. We gotta get a new one.
Let's lock in on the side.
I don't know. I don't know how to do that. Another time.
Put our best
Okay.
chairman.
We'll try to catch it.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Do we have a
Welcome to the work session, September 24th. Public comment. We have two people signed up so far. Judy?
Judy Hadlock, 46 Main Street, a business owner in the village. Just wanted to make a comment about the appearance of neon signs on Main Street and Hill Street. As an owner and all of us wanting to keep the lovely look of our village, I find that they are quite an urban intrusion. I know there is a non-neon sign ordinance in our code, and I think perhaps it could be looked at to apply to the real estate signs that are interactive on the windows at Brown Harris Stevens and Halstead, and the very large neon sign at Radio Shack. While some of these signs are inside the store windows, they do radiate quite visibly into the street. And it's my concern that it's a slippery slope, that if we have neon inside and we have a code against it outside, perhaps the code should be increased. And I will write a letter to that effect and help in any way I can on this issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
Judy and I had a meeting, and one of the things that she pointed out to me is that some of the businesses have televisions now in the window, really showing their products. And I mean, that could just become viral in a sense, because everybody could start showing all of their products on television at night. And that's what you're referring to as sort of a neon look, yes, as well as the real estate lit, individual lit properties in the windows.
All right. Can we take a look at that and see? Yeah, I think. Okay. I don't think they fall under a neon sign, but it's because it's an LED. Because the way the light comes off, because it's LED light, backlighting on, especially on the real estate stuff. So I don't know what. We can look at that to see. Okay.
But I think it's interesting that that Architectural and Historic Review Board is so particular about signs on buildings within the community and whether they're lit or not lit, and yet we do have these televisions that are lit up all night long. So.
Okay, what buildings were you referring to in particular as examples?
Well, the examples are Brown Harris.
Brown Harris.
Halstead.
And what they have is they have an interactive touch screen television on their window that you can.
But a lot of the agencies have televisions. I mean, Sotheby's has them in the window.
Those are just the ones that I noticed,
right,
without being prejudicial.
So a lot of them have them now.
I think a lot of the
Radio Shack is a very large presence of LED neon lighting on Main Street.
a lot of that is technology that's gone beyond what I think the
Right.
original
Right.
code was reflecting.
Yeah.
And then I know I have had several people come to me regarding the huge spotlights that are on the chemical bank.
Well, there's nothing you can do about that.
Okay, well then explain that to the public,
because that's federal regulations. They have to have a certain. If you look at all the different banks around, any place that there's an ATM, they have to have a certain. And that's because people have talked to me about that with Chase and Bridgehampton and Capital One building back here. Mm-hmm. So there has to be a certain level of lighting, and that's all federal regs. So.
Okay.
Okay, I'll probably talk to Jonathan Foster and get some input from him as to what they've been dealing with.
Okay. And, all right, good. Christina? Yeah.
Oh. I'm here not to complain about the Citarella application and not to complain about LIPA, but to fill you guys in on the process that I had to go through to get this pole moved that went up behind my house. And I just want to pass you a picture of this. Was the first location that LIPA put this pole and the transformers in right behind my house in order to bring more electricity to that area. And then with a lot of persistence and a lot of phone calls, I was able to get in touch with a very nice man at LIPA, and he agreed to come to my property and look at it. And he looked at it and said, whoa, this is not good. And he then sent me, we communicated by email, and he sent me an email saying that they had put a stake where they were prepared to move it. So they moved it to go behind a tree, and this is where they've moved it to. And I want to say that I really appreciate what LIPA did, because they really listened to me and did the best they could. It's not perfect.
I'm sorry.
This is the new location. It's not perfect, but it's a vast improvement, because at the time I had rented my house to people who were interested in buying it, and when they saw the pole going up on the last week of their tenure, they decided they didn't have any interest. So I'm here really to say that in the past, on a couple of other applications like this, I'm thinking of Ernie's gas station where Bridgehampton National Bank went in. We really took into consideration the homeowner next door to that bank and how we could buffer them. And when we're looking at the possible office building at the end of Elm Street and Hampton Road, we're looking, and the neighbors are really insisting on some kind of a buffer between Post Crossing and the parking lot that will go behind there. But I think that when the Citarella application came up, we concentrated very much on the fact that it was a supermarket and that they had the right to have a supermarket there. And I'm glad for the village that Citarella is coming, because I think we need that activity and we need that business. But I think that when things like this come up in the future, we need to be able to have a look first and say, how is this going to impact? I mean, I think Cameron Street is the only street in the village that backs onto a major commercial parking lot, the only residential street. I mean, there are others behind Saks and other places, but this is, it's big business back there, and we're going to have garbage trucks and lighted signs and all kinds of things. But I never thought when I went to the planning board meeting to say, okay, wait a minute, where is the extra electricity going to go? How are we going to accommodate these lines? And we don't bury them. I mean, they're right there. The whole parking lot is bristling now with these big canisters and transformers that are on the lines, and I think there might be a way that we could maybe work with Leica to put them in a more sensitive place when they need them and not have them visible from the street adjacent to the historic district and behind people's homes. I mean, I think that, okay,
You can go.
so
You can keep going.
that's just my,
Okay.
and I'm happy to give you a copy of the I'll give it to Brenda, the emails that I got from LIPA backwards and forwards, because it shows that once I got hold of the right person, at the beginning everybody said, no way, you're not going to move it. There's nothing you can do. And once I got hold of the right person, he really wanted to work with us to try and help us, but he could only do it within a certain, I still think they could have put the transformers on one of the existing poles, but too late now.
Do you want to bring up the shrubs?
Pardon?
Do you want to bring up any of the shrubbery?
Pardon?
Shrubbery that you wanted to mention?
Landscaping.
The landscaping you wanted to mention?
Oh, yeah. Actually, what I would like to say is that if there's any way that the village could help us come up with a plan where we could have some kind of a buffer or be allowed to put in a tree or along there where there's like 3 houses that are impacted by this, there's only a 5-foot space between the back of the properties and the parking lot. But if we could get permission to plant trees, or the village would help us, I think that buffer would be really important and really help us. And I'm also going to say one other thing, that I think that they were supposed to have a road opening permit to do that. And Steve told me that we went back a year and didn't find that LIPA had applied for that road opening permit, which they needed to put that pole in. So, that's just another comment. Thank you.
We talked about that earlier. I mean, it's actually not in the road.
Yeah, but
the
Gary
right of way.
required,
In
in
the
that
right
right
of
of
way.
way, so, we went back close to 2 years here where the master file is, and
Yeah.
then Gary checked in his office, but says nothing on file at all.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we could get them to take it out. I was like, why? Because you and I have had this conversation, and I said, why don't they put it behind the restaurant and bring it over that way? That way, it's not behind a person's house. Because now coming down your driveway, you're looking at it. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's possible.
The view of Cinderella from my bedroom window.
Okay.
All right, anyone else who did not sign up like to speak? Okay. I want to close this public comment. We got no board presentations, no public hearings, communications to the board here.
Okay, one from the school district, put on your parade shows at time of year again. SES Halloween Parade through the village of students in grades K to 4 will take place on Thursday, October 31st at 2:15. And we'll follow this route. Pre-K will be stationed at the usual post on Main Street, across the street from the Presbyterian Church. Students in grades K to 4 will parade down Hampton Road, Newton Street, Windmill Lane, Jobs Lane, Main Street, and back through Cameron Street to school. All children will return to their classrooms. Parents, please allow your child to return to their classrooms with their teacher for their regular dismissal. Any change in dismissal must be in writing the day before. In the afternoon at 3 p.m., it can be very hectic in the classrooms and the main office. Therefore, we ask your cooperation refraining from picking up your children at this time. Thank you for your cooperation in this manner. The Southampton High School Student Council will sponsor Trick or Treat Night to be held on Thursday, October 31st from 4 to 5:30 at Southampton High School.
Great. I'll make a motion to authorize SES Halloween Parade in accordance with their letter.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolutions, resolved that the reading of the minutes of the public session of September 12, 2013 be dispensed with, and that those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator, that the actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second? Second. All in favor? Resolved that the claims for the warrants dated September 24th, 2013, totaling $361,115.25, warrant 6 general fund, $29,412.07, warrant 4 capital reserve fund, and $1,751.49, warrant 2 firehouse bond fund, and the village payroll for the period ending September 19th, 2013 be ordered and approved. Have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Item 1, All-American Awards, commendation bars for the fire department, $4,261.22. Second payment is All-American Awards, again, fire department badges, $2,315.56. Arrow LLC, SCAR decision, $3,018. Aventine Properties, SCAR decision, $7,161.69, and also $7,809.99, also a SCAR decision. Barnwell House of Tires, tires for the garage, $1,228.02. Page 2, Lawn Marketing, the fall newsletter, $2,092.78. CSEA Employee Benefit Fund, September insurance premium, $22,463.89. Cook Marin, insurance installment, $167,640. Corwith Auto Body, August Towing, $1,275. Ducks at the Beach, return to security deposit for the Cooper's concession, $4,000. Fundamental Business Services, court collection fees for Orchids, $3,241.50. Page 4, GenServe, Police Department generator repair, $2105.02. Sydney Goodfriend, real estate SCAR decision, $2,042.80. Page 5, J.L. Darling, logbooks for the fire department, $1,169.79. John Deere Landscapes, fertilizer for the Parks Department, $6,218. Page 6, 2 payments to LIPA, one for the police department, $6,285.89, and one for traffic lights, $1,279.62. Lisa Crawford, trustee, SCAR decision, $2,285.79. Page 7, New York State Employee Health Insurance, October premium, $229,062.05. Page 8, Postmaster, fall newsletter, mailing, $1,070.44. Page 9, Rapid Recovery, tolling for August, $1,350. Page 10, Nancy Ross, SCAR decision, $2,821.40. And John Sullivan, SCAR decision, $3,155.14. Page 11, Vince Toomey, August legal fees, $7,535.40. Town of Southampton Fire District Training Program, $1,500. Verizon, August phone bill, $3,636.49. And page 12, Lawrence Willis, SCAR decision, $1,155.26. Capital Reserve warrant, AEC Engineering, design services for the Village Hall renovation, $5,000. Motorola Solution, Fire Department pages, $9,664. And two payments to Physio Control for AEDs and the monitors, $11,161.15 and $3,076.92. And the last warrant is the firehouse bond warrant, payment to Ashley McGraw, the architects for the Hampton Road Firehouse, $1,751.49. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the mayor to sign the collective bargaining agreement between the Village of Southampton and the CSEA in accordance with the memorandum of understanding, which is executed on May 9th, 2013. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Discussion?
Yeah.
This is the CSEA contract. The holdup was that we had to have a side letter agreement because of the new insurance requirement with NISHIP, that if two employees within the same bargaining unit have the coverage, that they are not allowed to get a stipend for that coverage. So, and that the CSEA is in litigation with NISHIP on that, and they didn't want it within the contract, so they had to work out a side letter agreement between Vince Toomey and CSEA to attach to the contract, and that was basically the holdup. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the mayor to sign a CLG grant application for Regional Commissioner Training, new design and historic concept in context. Have a motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second?
Discussion. What this is a grant that Zach Studenroth is working on with Ken Messiano. It's 2 workshops with regard to historic preservation, and the village will be putting that on. It's a $3,900 grant. The total cost of the package is $6,500. The matching funds are $2,600. However, within the $2,600, $1,500 of that is Zach's fee, which is already in the budget. And he's looking at, there's a workshop fee of $511 that he feels he can get waived, so the cost will be just a few $100s. And it's a good program. Further discussion? All in favor?
Actually, could you just read the end of the record so people know the project description
Sure.
for this right
The
here?
CLG will present 2 commissioner training workshops in the fall of 2013 for the Long Island, Nassau, Suffolk region on new design in historic context. Sessions will address the appropriateness of architectural design for infill construction and additions within historic districts. The workshops are planned as a sequel to those presented by the Village of Southampton in 2009, when the challenge of tear-downs and the misuse of hardship clauses were examined. The region continues to face an accelerated rate of tear-downs and new development with significant consequences for both historic residential and commercial neighborhoods. The proposed workshops will bring together professionals with experience in judging the appropriateness and compatibility of new design and infill in historic districts. The Society for the Preservation of Long Island Antiquities in Cold Spring Harbor will host one of the 2 workshops, thereby making it convenient for participants from Nassau County.
Great, thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approve the appointment of Stephen Babinski as a probationary member of the Southampton Hose Company effective September 24th, 2013. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following payments from the Capital Reserve accounts subject to permissive referendum. AEC Engineering, $5,000 from the Facilities Reserve. Island Roof Tech, $510 from the Facilities Reserve. $14,238.07 to Physio Control from Major Equipment Reserve, and $9,664 to Motorola Solutions from the Fire Equipment Reserve. Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget transfer to eliminate a line item overage for the period ending September 24th, 2013. $25,000 into claims coming from contingency. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. First discussion item is Hampton Road drainage.
We talked about this the last time, and this is the proposal by Citarellas to allow them to place drainage on, hey, Rich, how you doing? On our property. I think everybody got a copy of the plans. And Rick, do you want to comment on this?
Okay, this, as you know, this is something the planning board wanted,
Right.
and the Hampton Road Realty LLC is offered to do it at the planning board's request, if you're willing to allow it. At the last meeting, you told me to call John Bennett and have him submit an agreement, which I did, and he's now submitted the agreement. He's used the same form of agreement that we've used in the past with other similar things. Most recent one that I can think of is a year ago with, I call it the Ferrara Building, but I don't
Right.
remember what the name of the actual property owner is. I don't know if, at the last meeting, Gary Gillespie said that he wanted the opportunity to look at the plans for the work or whatever in the draft agreement before you acted on it.
I spoke with him, and he's fine with everything.
He's okay?
Yes.
Okay, that was the only loose end. So if he's okay, you can adopt a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign this agreement.
Drainage
Well, it's-
off the roof.
Yeah, let's, we'll make the motion, and we'll
Okay.
go in. So I need to make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Need a second on that?
Second?
Second?
Any discussion? Just to explain this to everybody, as Nancy was saying, is that right now, the roof drains right into the parking lot. And so this is an opportunity for us to place catchments in the parking lot at the expense of the adjacent property, the Hamptons Road LLC corporation, and instead of the water puddling in the parking lots and in the wintertime freezing over, it'll take that roof runoff and place it into these wells, which is a good thing for all of us. So, and
It's not septic or cesspool.
it's not septic, it's not cesspools. They've got a whole other project going on with that that's been all approved by the Department of Health. This is on village property for drainage on village property to catch this. It was flowing onto our property anyway, so it's a good thing for the village from a safety standpoint. In the wintertime, it could freeze over and somebody could slip and fall there, and now it takes that hazard hopefully away for the most part. So, any other questions, comments? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. Well, public comment section,
One question, do they maintain it as well?
we'll maintain it,
Village will
yeah.
maintain it.
So,
Okay, item 2, Billy, you had asked me last time, you were talking about the access in and out of the library on Cooper's Farm Road. And you asked me to have Gary take a look at it, and John. And they had, one comment they had is that coming out of the library, the pillars from the condo complex with the bushes, that causes a site issue, so it's a question whether something can be done with that. The only other 2 suggestions they had was to stripe that part of the road, make people aware that there is, and putting like a driveway sign, driveway intersection sign along that to bring some awareness to the area, which Gary said will work for a period of time, but then human nature is just, well, we're used to it and we go back to the same speed. The other more permanent suggestion he had is that there's room to put an island there to skinny down that lane width as you're coming towards Windmill Lane. So it's just actually physically force people to slow down to navigate that turn.
I think you were more concerned about it being blind.
Yeah, I'd love to let me talk to Gary and
Okay.
John about it. It's not something, I mean, we've endured it, so a little more time won't hurt, but they have a real genuine problem, and, my own driveway for the condos is right next to it, and we're sort of in danger coming from Windmill Lane, whereas they're in danger of people coming, east on Cooper's Farm, and it really comes around, and so the person that complained to me, it's a legitimate thing, and let me talk to Gary too.
Okay.
They suggested one of these parabolic mirrors so that they could see what's coming, on the far side of the road, so they could see what's coming down Cooper's Farm Road better, and I don't know that, I'd love to just talk to him, so thank you for your efforts, and I'll talk to him and see what would be most appropriate. Maybe they'll get the chief to give us any suggestions that he might have too, but it is a real problem in that particular location, so thank you for your efforts, and let me talk to them and
Okay.
just see if we can come to a best possible solution.
Okay, comments from board members here. Rich?
Guess I missed all the fun. Septemberfest coming up. I'm good.
Mike?
Well, I don't want to constantly bring it up, but I'm still very concerned about our beaches. And I'm really concerned about what the town has done down at the Mecox Cut. And if you've been down there recently, they've put a berm in there in an attempt to try to mitigate the problem, but that is a big open area. There is not a lot of material there, and the drift is all towards us. I'm a little concerned, especially along the Fowler's area and so forth, because you have a lot of scouring in there, you have ponds in back, and then there's no material to fill in that area. It could be a problem. Yeah, and it's really something that we should look at and approach the town so that we have a coordinated project instead of going separately.
What do you want to, I can call trustees and you and I could go over and meet with them?
I think it would be well worth it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd
good.
like to go too.
Well, only two of us can go.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry. If you can't make it, let me know.
Okay. So I'll call them and see if we can set something up, and the two of us will go over there and sit down.
No, I think it's
So,
well worth it to
Okay.
talk to them.
all right, good. Okay. Nancy?
I don't really have anything.
Bill?
Two quick comments. One, at this morning's department head meeting, I mentioned both of these items. One was that I would encourage you all, and even the members from the Southampton Press and elsewhere, to go down to the far end of, southern end of South Main Street and go in the driveway for Fairleigh and go get out at the far end and go on up the catwalk and see the bulkheading that was very much in the papers back when it was being built after the hurricane. And it is remarkable how it has turned out. And also a similar situation at the southern tip of Little Plains Road. If there was also a great deal of screaming going on about the property owner that's just on the west side of Little Plains for the bulkhead and so on that he put in, but both of them have worked out dramatically well. And I'm not saying that it was a great thing to do, but I sure wish it was done in front of the church at the end of Lake Agawam. And it's something to see because, and somebody said that something like 80% of our beachfront homes have bulkheading of one sort or another, but both of these turned out remarkably well. Now, I don't know, then there's the issue of their impact on their neighbors to the west and so on, but it's something to go see, and I would encourage you to look at it because, boy, did it turn out kind of hard when I remember that when they were constructing it, what it looked like and what it looks like now. It's really a sight. The other thing that I just wanted to pass these, each of you to take a photograph. I don't think I brought this up in front of the board before, but I had mentioned 5 or 6 months ago at a department head meeting that I was always in love with this little windmill that's out on near Deerfield, and Gary and I went out there and he took this photograph, and it's 10 feet high, and I asked the department's heads again this morning, now that the summer season is behind us, that they might devote some time to try and figure out whether they could build something that looked like this, and what it would cost, and would undertake. There was some indications of people who would might consider helping pay for it, but to put this windmill over in our little windmill park over here at the corner of Windmill Lane and Nugent Street, and it's only 10 feet high, so it's not going to, and they've often talked about bringing back the massive windmill, I think that's out at the college, which is never going to happen, that once gave Windmill Lane its name. And I think it would look great, but anyhow, take a look at it, and somewhere during the winter they'll be back, hopefully with some kind of a cost structure. And in my own mind, I visualized it, putting it there near the corner, as appropriately as we all decided, and that if somehow it's going to cause great consternation in the village to have a windmill on Windmill Lane, that we could move it elsewhere, that we won't anchor it until we've decided we like it there. But anyhow, it's just something for you to consider. And if we don't do it, life will go on. So other than that, thank you.
Sure.
Okay. So originally, when the college was going under, we approached the college to see if we could get the windmill back. We thought it would be a great thing for the property for Stony Brook was coming in at that point. We thought it would be a really great thing with Stony Brook to bring the windmill back to the village, because it was originally in the village. And Shirley Kenny was then the president of Southampton campus, and I had letters going back and forth with Shirley Kenny until she found out that students who had graduated from there, that windmill was near and dear to them, and they were not about ready to allow that to be moved back into the village, because at one point it was purchased for like $4,000. The woman who owned the campus and the estate up there bought that for her grandchildren's tea house, and so it has that history there. So when the idea came about, there were a lot of people who really loved the idea. I had some people say to me, it's too big for that corner. We actually talked with community preservation. They were willing to allow us to put that there. We had someone superimpose that windmill to scale on the property. It looked absolutely fabulous. But then there was always the question, could we or could we not get it back? And it seems that we're not going to be able to get it back, although we haven't really tried that hard, and I still would like to try and see if they would cooperate with us, because I'd rather have that back than anything. Then at some point, CMX said, well, you know what, a windmill would look really great there, and every other village has a windmill, and we don't have a windmill. We had several of them, and they burned them for exercises for the fire department because they really weren't using them anymore, and they weren't thinking about the history of them. And then this one was sold up to Southampton. So CMX said, oh, we could have, you know, a contest with the different architects out here to design the windmill, and we'd come up with something, and we'd go ahead and build a windmill, so we'd have a full-size windmill. The only thing that concerns me about this, and I love the idea, is that it's very small, and on that piece of property it looks like miniature golf to me. I would rather have a big one, because this is Southampton, and I kind of feel like if everybody else has a full-size windmill, why shouldn't we have one? And I'd really like to get ours back. So that's the only hesitation that I have with this bill.
I've got no problem if you can get the big one back. I'll put the little one at the Village Hall parking lot or something like that. But anyhow, no, this is just a thought.
All right.
I wanted you to see it. I think it's the neatest darn thing. It does work, by the way. Those the armatures go around and all that sort of thing. And the Corwith owner who owns that property came along as Gary and I were out taking photographs of it, and he said he'd build us one for $10,000. So I'm hoping that our own guys could build it for 3 or 4, and I'll endeavor to locate the 3 or 4. But it's just a thought, and it's funny. I'd love to have a big one there, although that windmill is huge. And,
I know,
so
but we had an architect.
Everything, we all have our problems. Maybe this one's too small and that one's too big.
I know.
Anyhow, it's just a thought, so we'll see.
But no, they superimposed it. It looked
Yeah.
fabulous. I don't know if I could come up with those photos because
Yeah.
people were afraid it was
Listen,
going to be too large, and it really wasn't.
I'd love to have a windmill on Windmill Lane.
Me too.
So this was just a
I mean, when I went over to the Children's Museum in Bridgehampton, they have a windmill in there, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And it's bigger than this, but it's not huge, but it's nice. So, I don't know. I would like to have a windmill on Windmill Lane too.
Keep trying to get the big one while I'll try and get a price
We
on the
can have
little
a whole
one.
campaign.
Well, that's right. We can have a windmill riot or something and see what happens.
That size.
This has been a short meeting, too. So.
Had nothing to do with me.
I know, exactly. Yeah.
For once.
I knew just saying windmill would do it all.
Just a couple things for me. One is the Cooper's Pond pipe work is going to start, which will be nice down in that area. And then also they're working on in Halsey Neck. One of the issues that is flooding, trying to capture water. So they're working on a design right now to try to keep water off of that road because it's highly traveled. The campers going back and forth to the county park and people running and biking, and if there's any standing water in that area, it's a problem. So on Friday night we have September Fest. It starts Friday night with the Rotary. It'd be nice if we get the Vivian Merrymakers are playing on Friday night. The Rotary Club's hosting it. They have food. If you're tired of that, you can go over and watch the high school football game. It's homecoming night too. Friday afternoon is homecoming parade, which will start at 5:30. It'll go through the village, which will be nice. And then Saturday is a whole host of activities with music and children's activities and pumpkin carvers. And Saturday night we've got the Charles Adams exhibit. They're going to have the opening cocktail party Saturday night, and they're opening that exhibit, and it'll run through November 4th, right?
November 4th, right?
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 12 to 5.
And so, if you don't know who Charles Adams is, he's the creator of the Adams Family. He's got all of his artwork that's in there. Their foundation is based out of Sagaponack, and it's an incredible collection. They're installing it as we speak, and so I'm excited to see that. So, and in 25 Job's Lane at the Southampton Center, they're working on master planning for the outside property to make some changes over the winter and spring to beautify the property and to get the fountain on the western side up and operational the same way we have on the eastern side. So some good stuff right there. And then I also want to take a moment and just tell everybody that our good friend Reverend Marvin Dozier and Sandra Dozier are being recognized by the Baptist Church of Unity Baptist Church of Mattatuck on Sunday, November 10th at the East Wind Catering Hall in Wading River. And he's a lifelong resident in the village, and he's a very good friend. And if you have the opportunity to support him and go to that or do something to recognize him in the village, we'll do a proclamation for him, recognizing his service. He's run the Southampton Youth Association for, how many years now? Many years. So 30 plus probably. And he just does a great job. He's both of them are very just good, solid, decent people, and we're very fortunate to have them in our community. So I want to congratulate them for being honored here. That's all I have to say. So we've got the second public comment. Yeah,
Art, let me
Rick?
just give you one update
Okay.
mostly for you and Brenda, while I happen to think of it.
Okay.
I know you were talking to the Suffolk County National Bank, and Brenda's been talking to the Suffolk County National Bank about the possible donation of some land adjoining the what we call the site of the African American Museum of the East End. And your telephone calls have produced some results now.
Oh, great.
I got a telephone call yesterday from Frank Eisler, an attorney in Riverhead, and he's been authorized by the Suffolk County National Bank to get the necessary information which he would need and look at it and then follow up with me so that we can get to the end result. So it sounds like it's really going to happen now.
Good.
Exactly how long it may take, I'm not sure. I would expect to hear something further from him maybe within a couple of weeks. He had no information at the moment. He was getting necessary information, including a deed, and going to be looking at maps, et cetera. So it sounds like something will happen now, and I now have a person that I can talk to keep it moving.
Good. Well, it's been very important to the museum, and being able to include that, so that's great news, great news. Okay, second public comment. Anybody from the public would like to speak? Okay, that being said, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing personal matters involving village employees.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?